Hello everyone, this is the second class of American church history. Before actually dealing with the real American church history, today I want to talk about native Indians. Even though many of you actually now living in California, and we see a lot of races, including white and Mexicans and Asians and African Americans. But unfortunately, it is very hard to see the native Indian around you. Even me, it is extremely hard to see the native Indians. Long time ago, around maybe 6 years ago at the time, I go to the mission trip to the Navarro in New Mexico. For first time, actually, I saw the native Indians. Actually, they are living in reservation area. So that's why it is extremely hard to see them in around here. So today is a little bit hidden and sad story about native Indians. Native Indians. Actually, native Indians lived in the North America until the white people came to this land. Long time ago, around maybe, according to the history, around 50,000 years ago. Actually, some people actually coming from the Asia, and they settle down in North America. They become the native Indians. That means for a long time, native Indians actually, they live in this land, and it looks like it belonged to their land. But after the coming of the white Anglo-Saxon people, after that actually they lost their land. So when I study about the American history, actually there are so many cultural diversity, so many races, so many cultural diversity is based on the idea that cultural identity should not be discarded or ignored. That's why some actually, usually, white actually, the white people actually dominated in the United States. Maybe second largest race in United States is maybe Spanish, and the third largest group is looks like the African American. But except those three dominant actually races, there are also another actually races. So that's why later maintained and valued. Ignored and even small minority, we should value them. Every culture and race has made a substantial contribution to American history. That's why I'm dealing with the native Indians today. Look at the map. Even though, United States is huge actually area, and you may see for a long time ago, maybe 300 years ago or 400 years ago, these native Indians living around the United States. Sometimes even I cannot remember the tribe names, but so many tribe names written in the history of USA. So you may see several actually native Indians. So many tribes, so many kinds of native Indians. They already live around from since maybe 50,000 years ago. They lived here for a long time, and it looks like USA, the whole land actually belonged to them. And the first American lived in many places in the United States. These places are called region. So when you look at the map of the United States, you may see the east side, including the New York, from the New York to the maybe Florida. Long time, around 10 years ago, actually, I live in New Jersey. In that area, there are around mountain and a lot of wood, and even during the summertime, there are a lot of raining. During the winter, there are a lot of snows. So it was full of the tree, a lot of tree in east side. And the middle side called the plains. That means it's huge. Actually, there is no much mountain. There are a lot of actually farming area in this area. And southwest, now we are living in California. California looks like a desert area. No, even during the summer there is no raining. Even though we living in the same United States, but according to the area, totally different climate, totally different actually environment. But actually, long time ago, native Indians live around here. Three regions that we will study at the eastern woodland. As I said, eastern area is there are a lot of mountain, and the plain there are a lot of corns and cotton. And the southwest, we living in this, including the California, we living in this area. They used to the natural resources of their region. The native Indians of eastern woodland, wood means trees. There are a lot of trees. The eastern woodland Indian live in forest. There are a lot of trees near river and streams. Yeah. When I actually came to California, and one day I look at the map, and there is a river. Even Santana River. I'm living around the Santana River. So one day I wanted to see the river, and I saw it, but it looks like an extremely small stream. It cannot be called as a river. It looks like a small, just a stream, that's all. But when I was in New Jersey and also going around the New York area, there is Hudson River and Delaware River. It was a huge river. You cannot cross by swimming. It's a huge one. So that's why eastern area, there are a lot of forest, a lot of lake, a lot of rivers, and their houses were made of wood and tree bark. That means there are a lot of trees. They made their house with trees. And to get their food from the river and stream, eastern woodland Indians were very good fishermen. There are a lot of fish. When I was living in actually South Korea at the time, I don't enjoy fishing. But as soon as I moved to New Jersey, there are so many big rivers and lakes and even oceans, and I start enjoying fishing. It's one of my hobby is fishing. There are a lot of fish in that area. So we can imagine that native Indians long time ago, they are also very good fishermen. And also forest has many animals that were food for the eastern wood Indians. There are a lot of bears and a lot of deers. Even when I driving the car, so many deers die on the highway. Even one day I hit a huge, almost cow-sized deer. I hit it, and the policeman came and they shot the deer because there are so many deers. Because of deers, actually there are so many car accidents. That's why they shot the deers. And even me, when I go fishing to the river, I saw the bear coming down from the mountain, and they swimming across the river and go to other state. I saw a lot of bear and the deers, but unfortunately, when I'm living in California, it is in my area extremely hard. I didn't see any single deer around me, even including the bear. It is very hard to see any animals. Maybe coyote, maybe sometimes mountain lion, but I didn't see them at all. So in east area, there are a lot of animals. So eastern woodland Indians also ate vegetable with their meat and fish. They are farmers. There are a lot of corn, beans, and squash. Yeah. So that means the Indians who are living in eastern area, they are good hunter. Also, they are good farmer. They raise a lot of it. And long time ago, around 300 years ago, the Puritan actually across the ocean, and they coming from England to Massachusetts. They arrived there, and they could not survive. At that time, native Indians actually bring a lot of food, and native Indians teach how to raise, how to harvest the corns. because they actually they are good farmer. They teach how to farming to the Puritans, the white actually Anglo-Saxon person. To them actually Native Indians taught them the farming. And I don't want to mention about each actually tribe, Native Indians. Maybe you heard of Cherokee. Even there is car name is Cherokee, and they have their own language and they have their own religion. Also, they have their own custom, art, literature. Even I cannot actually remember how many tribes, maybe more than 100 actually Native Indian tribe. Actually, they lived in United States around 300 years ago. So just one of example, I'm showing this graph. One of famous actually Native Indian tribe is Cherokee. So after their name, actually some car company actually following their names. And plains means that the middle area. Iowa, maybe from the Iowa to the Texas, maybe middle area. Middle area is plain. When you look at the buffalo, there is no mountain. Okay, this is huge field. There are a lot of grasses. There are so many animals. So the plains are flat, grassy area. And the first Americans who live in the plain lives and move often to follow buffalo. Buffalo is actually one of their major food. So the Native Indians actually they following buffalo. The buffalo moves actually Indians move following them. So nomadic Indian, nomadic means they do not dwell in some specific place. They bring the tents and the next day they move again. They're called nomadic Indians. Actually, they follow the buffalo. So because buffalo is their main food. The buffalo, also called bison, has a very large head. Look at the picture. It's a huge head. It eats grass and drink water. An adult buffalo can weigh as much as 2,000 pounds. Wow, what a weight it is. So that means so many meats, including also his skin. So Native Indians who are living in the middle area of the United States, actually they are following them. The Indians live in the home that could be moved quickly because it looks like tents, tents, not the brick, not the concrete, not the wood. As soon as the buffalo moves, they should actually gathering their belongings and they should follow them. That's why these homes were called tents. Maybe in some movies you see this kind of tents. Women usually put up the teepee. It was made with buffalo hide and decorated with paint. You call this tent teepee. The plains Indian hunted buffalo for food and clothing. So yeah, they eat their meat and skin. They made tents and their clothing. To capture the buffalo, the plain Indian had to know how to ride a horse. That's why whenever we watch some movies dealing with the Native Indian, they always riding on a horse. But that only limited in the middle area. They kill only enough buffalo that they need for food. They did not waste any part of the animals. So they use everything. Okay, food, skin. With the buffalo skin, they made clothing, shelter, any kinds of tools. Because the Native Indians actually believe that they belong to the nature. So even when they actually hunt the buffalo, and they actually respect buffalo, they did not consider buffalo as only their food. They think the Native Indians, every living thing is connected to each other, so they respect the other animals. Maybe we can call it animism, but yeah, that actually religion is totally different from them. So when you look at the picture, they are hunting, okay, riding horse, and they shooting their arrow and capture the one buffalo. And only good actually warrior, they can wear the buffalo head skin. Many tribes had a governing council. Most members took part in making decisions. That means they looks like following the democracy system. They always have discussion, and they respect each other. To protect themselves from other tribes, the men learn how to fight with bows and arrows. Yeah, at the time, they don't have any guns. They only using the arrow and bow, and sometimes the spear. So these men were called warrior. They are warriors. Sometimes they are fighting with against the other tribe. So that because there are so many tribes at the time in United States. The more feathers a warrior wore, the greater a warrior he was. That means if you see so many feathers, wearing some native Indian wearing so many feathers, that means he is a great warrior. And especially buffalo helmet show that he is one of the best warrior in that tribe. So look at the picture. He is not a normal guy. He is the one of the greatest warrior in his tribe. Little bit okay, explain about that. So Sioux, this is one of the major actually tribe living in plain in the middle area, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Montana, Dakota, right, including that. So I don't want to explain all about it. So one of the major tribe in the plain called Sioux. And finally, we live in California, and they called the Southwest Indians live in the dry, hot region. Yeah, we living in very dry. I was so surprised when I living in New Jersey. Actually, there were 4 actually seasons. Spring, there are a lot of flowers. Summer, a lot of rain. Fall, a lot of fruit, and winter, a lot of snows. But as soon as I came back to California, I found that this area is extremely dry. Even during the summer, it is almost over 6 through 8 months. We didn't see any single drop of raining. Yeah, it's very dry area and hot area. There were many forests. It is extremely hard to even the trees. Only when you go travel to the north part of California, we see that some trees, but it is a desert area. Especially when you have a trip to the Las Vegas, when you're going there, there is only desert with extremely small trees. It is impossible to see the forest in this area. So they build their homes of mud and straw. Maybe if you get any chance to see, visit the Utah and some canyon area, you may see these kinds of houses. They made their house with mud and straw. The Indians made the wall of their home very thick because it could keep the houses cool. Yeah, it's extremely hot area, so we need air conditioner when we're living in California. And the Indians of Southwest were farmer, corn, because there is no animal. If there is a forest, definitely there is bear and deers, but unfortunately there is no actually forest. That's why. In the beginning, actually, when I moved into California at the time, I didn't understand that this is a farming area because I didn't say anything. But as soon as I traveled to the Fresno, a little bit north part of the Los Angeles, actually, when I actually driving there, I saw there are a lot of farming area. So the Indian name of corn is maize. So there are a lot of corns. So yeah, in summer, actually, whenever I go to the big actually shopping area, especially including the large forest, and I found a lot of corns. Corn is a little bit cheap in this area because corn is one of the major vegetable in this area. Even though there are a lot of actually information about the native Indians, I don't want to explain all of them. Pueblo is one of the Mexico, Texas, Arizona, Nevada, one of the major tribes they are living in this area. if you have any interest in studying about the native Indians, you may find a lot of information and a lot of books and sometimes a lot of documentary. You may see that. Now I'm little bit talking about little bit sad story. Yeah. As soon as Anglo-Saxon white actually people coming from England, France, and Spain, they coming to this area, especially the east side of the United States. They come, white people come, and conflict between the white and native Indians on the plain occurred definitely. Native Indians lived this area, but white guys actually they coming to this area. So definitely there is some confliction between them. Native Indians try to preserve their way of living. They have their style. They actually keep the nature and they belong to the nature. So they value the nature, including the animals. But the white settlers took or charged the land. Native Indians actually they don't have any personal the concept of personal property. All land belong to everybody, so there is no personal land. But as soon as the white people come and they try to expand their area, and they built their house and declare that this is my land, this is my home. So the more and more white people coming, and unfortunately native Indians actually lost their land. American hunters targeted the buffalo to sell the hide in the east. That means a lot of leather. Look at the picture. When actually the native Indians actually hunt one buffalo, actually they value it a lot. They never kill with any fun. Okay, they are hungry. They catch only one buffalo. They value the buffalo. They respect the buffalo. But usually in capitalism, we consider when we look at the animals, we consider it as a money. So that's why white guys, hunters, actually they kill a lot of buffalo. They don't want to eat the meat. Only what they want is their leather, their skins. So that's why they kill a lot of actually buffalo. As soon as they kill the buffalo, that means the native Indians they lost their food. They could not survive. They have an extremely hard time. And during the first actually class, actually I'm a little bit explain about railroad. Railroad company hired 100 of hunters to kill buffalo, to feed railroad crews and to prevent giant herd from blocking the trains. So that means there are so many hunters they hired and they kill most of the buffalo. So the native Indians who live in the plain, they no longer survive because the white guys kill so many buffaloes. So that's the starting point of tragedy. Yeah, unfortunately, we actually celebrate Columbus Day. From the white perspective, this is conquered. This is new finding. They finding new land. But unfortunately, from the perspective of native Indians, they are invader. The white guys invader. They losing their power. They losing their home, their land, and finally, it seems that native Indians was jailed in some specific area. Unfortunately, American government forced to move native Indian to a few reservations. That's why it is extremely hard to see the native Indians. When I actually make a short mission trip to the Navajo in New Mexico, as soon as I drive there, I saw the sign. This is a reserve of native Indian, Navajo. So that means they're living there for around 200 years ago, American government forced them move to some restricted area, and gave the army authority to deal forcefully with any group that refused to move. They living in actually field. They living in huge land, but American government actually forced Native Indian, even through the army. They send army and looks like arrest all of them and send them to the some reserve area. So that's why Native Indians could not escape from that area. From long time ago, around 200 or 150 years ago, they were they cannot actually coming up from their reservation area, unfortunately. Landing on reservation was unfit for farming or hunting. Usually, the reservation area is desert, so it is almost impossible for farming or hunting. So they have a miserable life. Even for a long time, Native Indians were not considered over being American citizens. They have very sad history. American government killed, murdered so many Native Indians. Government failed to deliver promised food and supplies. Good delivered were of poor quality. When you look at the picture, this is one kind of a symbol. Native Indians, the white guys give a small piece of bread and kick them up, and they occupied their land. And the white guys become rich and rich, get rich, and with the cannon, actually, they try to murder any Native Indian wanted to rebel against the white guys. So this is a very, very sad history. That's why Native Indians hate Christianity, because they believe the Native Indians believe that Christianity belongs to white guys. So from their perspective, Christianity is some kind of invader religion, not their religion. The Christianity is the religion of the white guys. But when I actually mission trip to Navajo Native Indians, and they accept. Actually, I'm Koreans, and our skin color is almost same. Okay, maybe our skin color called brown. We are brown to each other, so we preach the gospel, and Native Indians actually accepting the gospel from Asians, because we are considered all their brothers and sisters. But the white missionary, when they preach the gospel, they reject it. The Native Indians rejected it because they consider them as an invader. Factors that change Native Indians' life. Number one, why moving on to their land? Yeah, why the white guys actually expelled the Native Indians. Number two, killing of the buffaloes. They kill a lot of buffalo. So now it is extremely hard to find buffalo. Only when you go to the Yellowstone or any national park, we may see buffalo, and the buffalo was the main, as I said, main food for the Native Indian. Buffalo disappeared, Native Indian disappeared. Number three, U.S. Army attack. They murder, they kill a lot of Native Indians. Number four, reservation policy. That's why Native Indians are still living in reservation area. Number five, reformers who wanted to Native Indians to fit into white culture. So that means the Americans, actually white guys, actually force Native Indian accept their throughout Native Indians culture and accepting white guys culture. That's actually a little bit. That's why I said a story. If you really wanna a little bit understand the Native Indians, I recommend Dance with Wolf. This is one of the excellent movies to win the 7 Academy Award. It is a little bit around 3 hours long movie, but when you watch this movie, you can understand the Native Indian situation. So this is the there is a free movie actually in YouTube, and even there is subscribe in your language. You can watch it, and I'm going to send this link to you. Yeah, little bit before start dealing with the actual real American church history. I'm dealing with a little bit hidden and sad history about Native Indians. See you next time, and I'm gonna start American church history. Okay, thank you. See you next time.